Welcome to the Flora Sage Podcast, a place where we help you create a life you're excited about.
Welcome to another Walk and Talk episode. That was really cheesy, but I don't care. I'm sitting here dancing in my living room. Okay, so today we're going to talk about cleaning up your messes. This is not, well, this could do with environmental clutter, but one of the things that I talk about in the 1 Degree Shift book is about cleaning up your messes and what this means. When I coach someone, I listen for indicators of what's going on in their life. It could be a challenging relationship. It could be financial issue. It could be weight stuff. It could be spiritual stuff. It could be business stress. So I listen for those indicators of the areas in their life that are causing the most stress and are causing the most grief. And then we lean into that. We kind of dig into it and see what exactly is going on in each one of those areas or in that main area that's causing stress. And what I find every single time without fail is there's unfinished business in each area or that main area that is causing stress. What do I mean by unfinished business? AKA the mess. Something that is left undone. So think about making some cookies, okay? So what do? You take out all the ingredients and you got the bowl and you got the pan and you got the spoon and all the measuring cups and all this other stuff. And let's just say you're in the middle of mixing all of the stuff together. Somebody comes, knocks on your door. What do? You're like, hang on. You wash your hands because, maybe you have dough on them. You open the door. They come in and they're like, wow, your kitchen is such a mess. And you're like, yeah, I'm making cookies. Woo, woo, And that's a mess. And so maybe they're just like, hey, I've got tickets to go see so-and-so, fill in your favorite band. And you're like, oh my God. But they're like, but you got to leave like in 20 minutes. You're like, oh shit, hang on. Let me get changed. So maybe you take a quick shower, you get changed or whatever. You're out the door. You come back at like 1 a.m. and you're like, whoa, my kitchen is a mess. But I'm tired, I'm going to go to bed. You wake up, you got to go to work. You're like, I'll just pick up that mess later. So now I want you to think about your life and what this could mean in other areas of your life. Now, yes, this is just a random cookie example, but let's just say that you have a financial matter that has an unfinished mess, unfinished situation that you need to address. Maybe you're in debt, or maybe you have a credit card that you just keep using that you're like, oh, I really don't want to keep using this and whatever. Maybe there's a conversation that you really need to have with someone. Maybe you have crafting projects that you started and just didn't finish. So these unfinished projects, these quote unquote messes that we have in our life impact us and our energy, just like having that messy kitchen. Every time you walk into the kitchen, you go, oh shit, I gotta clean up. Maybe the cat jumped on the counter and spilled the flour and there's flour everywhere and you're like, dang it. Some messes are a little bit more lengthy to clean up than others. Maybe it'll take you 5 minutes, maybe it'll take you an hour. But the thing is when we have these unfinished projects or these messes in our life, these things that we have not completed, they do drain your energy. They pull your attention away from the present moment. So what does that mean, and why should we care if we have these unfinished things just kind of hanging out in our life? Well, what happens is it pulls us away so much so that we can't be fully present in our day. These things cause stress, they cause anxiety, they cause sleep disturbances many times. It depends on what it is. It can cause weight gain. And stress in any amount can cause irreversible damage in your physical body. It can lead to depression. It can lead to sleep issues. It can lead to all kinds of things. Just go ahead and Google, what does stress do to the body? Bam, boom. It's a lot, okay? So in order to clean up these messes, we have to identify what the messes are, what these unfinished tasks are. So a really easy way to do this is to do what's called a brain dump. This is not my idea. This has been around for decades. And what this does is it gives you the opportunity to see on paper what is stressing you out right now and what are these to-do lists that you have that are just kind of running through your head that, many times cause us to feel stressed. So your assignment for today, take out a piece of paper or a notebook and just do a brain dump. Literally spend 20 minutes or 5 minutes or a minute just writing everything down that you can think of that might be causing you stress. Or you can write down, your to-dos. So not just your everyday to-do, I need to do the laundry, I need to wash the floor, I need to, edge the garden or weed the garden or whatever. Everything. I need to get a new couch. And I'm stressing out because I don't have, X number of dollars to get the new couch. I'm stressing out about that. I need to weed the garden. I need to get an oil change. I need to call so-and-so. I need to finish that. So, and then work is stressing me out, or the weather is stressing me out, or whatever it is, my weight is stressing me out. Literally do a brain dump. So everything that's stressing you out, all of your regular to-dos that you're thinking of, and then all those silent to-dos. So the silent to-dos are every time you open up the hall closet, it squeaks. You're like, I got to remember to oil this door. That's a silent to-do. Well, I guess not in that case because it squeaks, so it's not very silent. You know what I mean? But it's all those things that you just have sitting on your shoulders that you're like, I need to find time, but I don't have enough time to do this. Get it all out. Get it all out. Just do that brain dump. And then once you get it all out and you've exhausted your brain, you've literally just like, okay, everything is here, and you look at the paper and you can't think of anything else to write, take a deep breath, relax, and say, yay, that's out of my brain. Next thing is I want you to look at that list of things, your stressors and your top to-dos, your silent to-dos, all the things. And then ask yourself, okay, so what are the top 10 things on this list that are stressing me out? And mark something, maybe you could put an asterisk by it or a star, circle it, highlight it, whatever. Pick your top 10 things from that list that are stressing you out. And these include these little messes, okay? That's what this is all these little tiny messes, all these little things that are hanging that need to be addressed or should be addressed, or we feel like we have to address them. That's what this list is. So pick your top 10. From that top 10, then narrow it down to your top 3. Then from there, narrow it down to your number one stressor right now. I can guarantee you that number one stressor is this little mess that you've been meaning to clean up in your life, or this little thing that still has to be addressed and done or taken care of, but you just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, just simply because it hasn't been a priority. We've all been there, trust me. And so ask yourself, when you get to that top one, like this is my number one top stressor right now, ask yourself, am I willing to address this today? What would it feel like for me to address this and take care of this and get this off of my plate today? Now, the thing that might surprise you is your top stressor probably isn't what you think it is. I actually share this in my book. When I did this one time, the top stressor, lo and behold, was cat litter on the floor. I literally said out loud, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Seriously? Cat litter is the number one thing that's stressing me out, and that day, it was. My bedroom was downstairs, so was the cat litter box. And it seemed like the cats, every time they used the freaking litter box, they chucked litter like it was Mardi Gras and the litter was beads. Like they were just chucking it seemed. And I was like, ugh. And I had a broom, and every time I went down there, I would sweep up the litter. But I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Like I hate that every single time I come down here, there's litter on the floor. And I'm like, okay, am I willing to address this today? Yes, because it's bothering me. Okay, so what are some ways that I can address this? And I started to brainstorm. I'm like, I could get rid of the cats. Is that an option? No, because they're not my cats. They're my kids' cats. And we're not going to get rid of them. So I'm like, okay, so how can I address this? And I did some brainstorming, and I'm like, I will measure the space. I will get a rug that will catch the litter and hopefully contain it to that spot so that it's not on the floor and whatever. Now, if you have cats, you know the struggle. The struggle is real with cat litter, people. And so that's what I did. I measured it. I went to the store. I got 2 rugs, duct taped them together underneath because I couldn't find a rug that would fit that space. It was kind of a large space that I wanted to contain it in. And it worked. I was like, oh, hell yes. Yes. Now, was there still cat litter on the floor? A little bit, but not nearly as much as there was before. Was I okay with that little bit of cat litter? Yes. I was like, all right, nice. That was a mess, literally, that I cleaned up. And that was that little tiny stressor, that little tiny thing that was impacting my day. It was impacting my mood because every single time that I went downstairs, it was an issue. It was a small one, but it was an issue nonetheless. And that pulls you out, that takes out energy that you could be spending someplace else, that you could be investing someplace else in your life. So that's why it's so important to clean up these little messes that we have, these little unfinished to-dos, these things that are just kind of hanging out that we choose to not deal with. Now, the beautiful thing about this is when you start to address these little messes in your life, you realize that there are some messes in your life that you don't need to deal with. You can close the chapter. You can close the book. I'll give you an example about this one. There was 2 books that I was so excited to read. Oh my gosh, like so freaking excited. One of them I had in my library for years. I had it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not going to read this, and so I gave it away. And then I'd buy it again, and then I gave it away. And then I buy it again, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to read the damn book. So I got about halfway through, and I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like, I'm not enjoying this at all. Like, and so I stopped, and I'm like, do I really want to spend my time finish this book? Or am I just going to cut my losses and just say, you know what, I'm actually going to just give this away and be done with it. Because like I said, I went round and round with this book for years. And I made the decision to put it in the Goodwill box and be done with it. And I'm like, wow, that feels good. And then, so I grabbed the next book that was in my stack, and I was all excited about it, and I was like, woohoo! Started reading it, and again, I was like, this is not what I expected. This is totally different than what I expected. Kept reading it, and I was like, And after about 5 chapters, I realized, I'm like, I'm just not into this book. I'm just not into it. And I'm like, do I feel okay with giving this book away? Put it in the Goodwill box and I'm good. Now, granted, all the books that I put in the Goodwill box don't go to Goodwill. They actually go to a local little book nook that's on the side of the road next to this one community center that we have. But in any case, that's where all my stuff goes that I'm getting rid of. And it felt good. I was like, yes. This feels good. So then I'm like, okay, what's the next book in my reading stack? Grabbed it, started reading it. I dove right in. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. Now, the cool thing about cleaning up your messes, as I said previously, is you have more time. You have more time. Because the thing is now my brain isn't going to see those 2 books and say, oh, I really should read these. I really want to read. And I just keep going. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to read the damn thing. And then I realized, not so much. Move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Back in the day, I got all the scrapbooking stuff. Tried it. Was like, yeah, I'm just not really into this. I spent a lot of money on scrapbook stuff. If you've scrapbooked, you feel that pain too. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. Like, if I want something scrapbooked, I'll just pay somebody to do it. And I did. I actually paid one of my sisters. I made one scrapbook of when I lived in South Africa. And I bought all the materials and everything so that she could create one for both of my kids. And I'm like, how much would it cost you to scrapbook? She's like, you're going to pay me to scrapbook? She loves scrapbooking, you guys. I'm like, yeah. She goes, oh my God, I'm so excited. So she gave me a number and I said, deal. I sent her all the stuff, sent her the money, and I said, have fun, go for it. And next time I saw her, she delivered 2 fabulous scrapbooks finished. And I was like, hell yeah, that's how to get shit done. But I'm just like, I don't want to. I'm not a scrapbooker. I tried. Same with the stamping people stuff. Like, I tried to be a stamper. I'm not. I'm just like, I can't get into this. So those things that you have sitting in your home, sitting in your brain, sitting in your inbox, all these things that are left undone or half done. Give yourself permission to either do it and be done with it, or say, you know what, I'm really not into this. And I'm okay with letting this go and ending this chapter of my life or the book or just moving on from it. And the thing that happens is, like I said, you get so much more time because it's not even on your radar anymore. But when it's in your home, when it's in your inbox, when it's in your brain, it is taking up space. It is utilizing your energy. And when it's gone, all of a sudden, that space, that time, that energy is all freed up. And yes, you do need to spend time dealing with it and asking yourself, do I want to continue on with this? Or am I okay with letting it go? And I'm telling you, those conversations that you're afraid to have, just have them. Just have them. They are so worth it. Yes, sometimes they can be kind of a shit show, but usually they're not as challenging as you think. Now, if you want help with having challenging decisions or, challenging conversations, get my book. I have a dialogue script. I teach you how to have these challenging conversations with someone so that it will hopefully end in a productive conversation and that you will feel seen and heard. Fabulous. But in any case, give yourself permission over the next couple of weeks, over the next week even, to look at the messes that you have in your life, all those unfinished things. And if you want to start with a brain dump so that you can kind of get an idea of, okay, what's really going on, what's occupying my brain, do that. You'd be surprised what comes out, trust me. But allowing yourself to do this gives you permission to own your stuff and also gives you permission to disown it and say, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to do that. And another thing too is you realize, you know what, I've been meaning to oil that squeaky door. I'm just going to get up and do it. And the thing is, it's probably going to take you 2 minutes. You walk to the garage, grab that silicone spray. That's me squirting the hinges of the door, okay? So you squirt it, you open and shut the door. It doesn't squeak anymore. You go put the can back. Less than 5 minutes, it's done. It's off your list. Feels good. You've opened up more space. And the cool part is you don't need to fill it again. Once you declutter this stuff, once you get rid of those things, that no longer serve you, that you're not interested in anymore, you don't have to refill that with new things. You can just leave that space there, including in your brain. It's okay to just like bow out of doing things and volunteering for stuff and signing up for new things. It's totally okay. So I hope this message serves you. I'm super pumped about this. This is one of the things, like I said, that impact people's lives so much that they don't even realize it. And every time I start working with a new client, this is one of those things that their mind is blown. They're like, God, Flora, I can't believe how much more time I have in my life now just by doing this one simple exercise. It's crazy. So I encourage you to do it because it works. And I encourage you to just try it out. If you're like, I don't know about this, try it out. Grab a notebook, do the brain dump, narrow it down to your top one, start addressing those things. Start cleaning up your messes, and you're going to start to see how much that opens up for you in your life. I'm telling you, this is good stuff, people. Okay. Thank you for checking in with me today. Thanks for listening and bringing me along your walk or your drive or whatever it is that you're doing while you're listening to this podcast episode. It's always a pleasure connecting with you. If you want to connect with me privately, check the show notes. All kinds of ways to connect with me. I've got free events every single month. We do a virtual decluttering day. I do business coaching. I do spiritual and personal coaching. I have tons of free content out on the interwebs. And of course, my latest book is The 1 Degree Shift. An easy way to help you create a life that you are super excited about. And all that jazz and all that jazz. Yes, so I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this serves you today. And I will speak with you in the next episode. Or if you're a private client, I will see you in Voxer shortly.
If you've been loving these episodes, it would mean the world to me if you would rate this podcast on iTunes. A 5-star rating is what I always aim for. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. All links mentioned are in today's show notes.